Oh well, that didn't go to plan, did it? At least, that's all the proof you need that this thing shreds so much that your strings won't survive. Let's change guitars and keep going. Get it yet? Today we are reviewing the BluGuitar Amp1 Iridium Edition. Let's do it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Okay, first things first, let's start with some basic specs. So this here is a 100-watt hybrid amp. What makes it really special is that you've got the warmth of a nanotube here in the power amp section. So you've got really the best of both worlds. Further, you've got 4 different channels ranging from the clean, the vintage, the classic, and the modern. And that goes from sparkly cleans to full-on metal mayhem. And that last channel is really the biggest difference if you compare it to the other model in the BluGuitar amps, which is the Mercury Edition Amp1. That is more of a classic rock amplifier. This has that classic rock element to it, that classic Marshall-y vintage sound, but it also goes a step forward and is even more versatile as an amplifier because it has that modern sounding heavy element to it. So as usual, let's now look at some of the controls and features of this amplifier. Oh, just before we start, I forgot to mention that the wonderful people at BluGuitar did provide this product to me to test out, to play out. I reached out, I got in touch with them because I was really interested in the product. This is a product they provided to me and I will send it back as soon as I'm done. So they were kind enough to provide this product, but in no way is this a sponsored video by them, and in no way did they ask me to say something or not say something. So all opinions are from here. As you can see, the construction and the aesthetics of this amp are really outstanding. I absolutely adore the black matte finish of it. It just looks very, very nice, very classy, really nice materials have been used. It's very tactile as well. It feels solid. Great construction from BluGuitars. I think the thing that I really appreciate the most is kind of the attention to detail that they really put into this amplifier. So if we start from the bottom, we have 3 foot switches. The first is your channel select. This will go from your whatever distortion channel you have to your clean channel. The second one is the boost, which we'll get to in a little while in the sound samples. And I've got to say the boost in this sounds fantastic. Well done to Thomas and the whole team, because as a boost, as an overdrive, I didn't actually find any reason to use an external pedal to tighten things up, etc. This works wonders. Then finally, you have the on-off switch for the reverb. So you have an inbuilt reverb, which also sounds very good. The general layout is volume, gain, master. This is your preamp section. You have the first volume on the left is exclusively, if I'm not mistaken, for the clean channel. And then if you move on to the other channels, you also have a gain and a master volume here. So very, very smart the way this has been done. Don't be fooled by the fact that you have a single volume for the clean channel, because it works how clean amps generally work, clean tube amps generally work. So the more you crank this up, the more it will push the amp and go into bit of overdrive, bit of distortion. So very, very smart. You have a 3-band EQ with obviously bass, middle, and treble. Then finally, as we mentioned, you have the reverb. Up top, you have a master control, which is also incredibly useful for a number of reasons. First of all, if you're recording, if you're playing live, if you're going straight to PA, whatever, very useful. But also, in conjunction with the preamp volume, especially on the clean channel, it works really well in terms of setting your not only volume right, but also how much dirty crunch you want to your sound. And again, we'll look at that later. Finally, up here, you can see the pretty little window, the magic that is the nanotube. It does make a difference, and it's not just a gimmicky, pretty little thing that lights up. However, the cool stuff doesn't end here, because a lot of the magic happens to the side of the unit. So here is really where this unit shines, and one of the kind of unique selling points. So you have this series of mini controls here and a few switches at the bottom. If we start from the top up, what you have is a volume control for the boost. So how loud the boost is going to be when you use it. For example, you're playing a solo, you want to put the boost up, you can decide how much of a dB kind of boost you want in the sound, and how much more oomph you get from that boost. Then moving down, you have the modern channel section, in which you have 2 little controls. You have a volume for the modern section amp, and you have a tone. Again, that works in addition with the main EQ and volume that you have on the main face of the amp. So it just allows you to tailor your sound, sculpt your sound even more. If you want to add a little sparkle, if you want to cut down some of those high frequencies, you can play around with the traditional controls at the front, but also sculpt it even more with the tone and the volume here. You have the same thing for the classic channel. And finally, you have for the clean channel only the tone option. So no volume, because again, that makes perfect sense because you're using the volume at the front of the unit. So you don't have one of these for the vintage channel, which is again really interesting because it kind of goes back to the nature of each of these amps. This unit has a very, very good high quality effects loop, but you can also decide whether you want to run it in parallel or in series. Then finally, a noise gate. With the addition of the high gain amps, you need a noise gate. And very simply, you have 3 choices: off, soft, and metal. If you're going into the metal amp, I would suggest going into the metal noise gate section because it just keeps that noise down. Last but not least, I do want to talk about the connections. What you'll find is, again, this is done really, really well, very well thought out. So first you have a on-off switch, obviously, very nice detail. Then you have a MIDI remote jack entrance. Yes, this thing can do MIDI. Why not? Then you have the speaker out with 2 different options, 16 ohms or 8 ohms. Then you have a recording out, that's an emulated out if you want to use it with earphones or connect it straight to your audio interface, however you want to do it. As we mentioned, the effects loop, send and return, and finally, what we're missing? Oh yeah, the guitar input, that would help. that's the guitar input. So really simple. You have a nice vent here because it does heat up and it's a very powerful amp, so you need to keep it cool. And that's about it really. Just whilst we're at the back, it's just very, very well built. It's done very well. These are magnetic. It's just a really high quality product. Let's get to the serious stuff. What you heard at the beginning and throughout this video were just some in the mix sounds that I got straight with the Amp1 Iridium, and really only use an external delay on one of the pieces and a wah pedal on the other. What I want to do now is just plug in and we can go through some of the basic sounds you can get from this just by playing around with the various tones and channels. I think you'll be surprised how versatile this amp can actually be. Although it does look quite menacing, it's actually got a very sweet sound. So let's do it. Okay, here we are. I've got this bad boy all set up. Let's listen to some of the sound samples outside of the mix and see what it can do. Let's start off with clean because that's where you got to start. Okay, so as I said, we are in the clean channel, fairly basic standard tone. What I've got is the boost off, and this is going straight into my DAW Reaper with a Celestion IR that I've loaded. Very simple, just a cream back cab, no post EQ, nothing. The only thing I've added is just a little bit of delay through Reaper. The reverb comes directly from the Amp1. So let's give it a bit of a try. Let's turn the volume even further down and put the master up. As you'll see, the clean channel only has the volume. So you see the first bit that I played, the volume was further up slightly. And here what I did is lower the volume on the preamp side and the master volume, I raised that, and that cleans it up. So you can get a nice, very clean sound by lowering the volume here and raising the master. Or if we do the other way around, it starts to break up a little bit, which is really cool for those kind of bluesy sounds. Let's put that up even more. So you see that was very, very cool. And if we go one more step forward, let's put the boost on. Boost obviously is pushing the front end of the Amp1, really like any overdrive tube screamer would do on a classical setup. And at the side, as we discussed earlier, you have the little toggles that you can increase or decrease the boost sounds. In the same way, you've got the additional mini control for the tone, and that works obviously together with the 3-band EQ which you have at the front. So it's very, very useful. For example, if you have a very bright guitar or very bright pickups. In this case, this is my modded T-style guitar and it's got a P90 in the bridge. But it is useful to, maybe in my ears, tone it down slightly and get those high, shrieky frequencies out of there. So it does make a difference, and it's very, very flexible. So that's a massive plus. Now, let's take the boost off and move on to some of the serious business. Let's go to the really cool vintage channel. And you know, I'm the kind of player that loves that channel. So let's see what it can do. What's cool about the vintage channel is that it kind of takes over where the clean channel left. So it's almost a natural continuation of the tones that you get on the clean channel, but just a step forward. So you're into that light distortion, you're into that real crunchy. Let's put the boost on that one as well. Move on to the classic amp. Let's get that gain up a little bit. Let's put the volume down. Get that gain up a little bit and see what happens. Well, I think for this channel we've got to do something else. Let me unplug. Give me a sec. Okay, now that I'm all tuned up, I've got my Kramer, and this has a super distortion in the bridge. So let's put the boost on. Let's go full whack, shall we? Just in the middle. I want to put a bit more mids in there. That definitely rocked, and it has that really cool classic rock, I guess, where the name comes from. It goes a little bit into the metal side, and you can really dial it in again, the kind of sounds you want. If you want to scoop some of the mids, it will get there. You tighten it up with the boost, and it does really sound quite powerful. Okay, let's now go to the modern setting, and that's really what this amp brings in addition to kind of the previous grey version of it. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed those sound samples. I've got to say, I know it was a bit silly to include that little piece of me breaking the guitar string, but honestly, that's just due to the fact that I was having so much fun with this that I just completely lost it and maybe bent too hard, whatever it is. My attack was a bit too heavy and completely destroyed that string. But it's not my fault. This made me do it. I had so much fun doing this demo. This amp is loaded with really cool features. The 3-band EQ and the addition of the mini tone pots are fantastic. Really, really amazing. I really like the flexibility it gives you. I like the fact that you are able to cater your sound to whatever guitar you're playing. So if you've got a shrieky guitar or something which is slightly more piercing in a high end, you can tame it, you can really do whatever. Almost endless possibilities. Really, really good. The boost, great. Again, no need, at least in my personal experience, to use an external boost or an external overdrive. This kind of does it all. It has the volume boost, but it also does what a tube screamer does, so it tightens up your bottom end on the high gain stuff. Really, really good boost. The reverb is also a really nice addition. You've got the individual switch for the reverb, which is also handy, well thought out, so very, very nice. It's nice to have full control over it with the knobs, and there's no like menu diving. I hate those bloody menus. There's no choice paralysis here. Everything is really well laid out. It's simple. You know immediately what amp you're on. Very, very cool. The additional features, for example, the noise gate, the effects loop being in series or parallel, are also really, really great. And that's, for example, one feature which I'm not sure I've seen on too many competitors. Works incredibly well with external pedals. As I said, I use a wah in front of it. Sounds awesome. Used it again with a delay. Very, very good in terms of the effects loop and how it takes effects. Even on the clean channel, if you watch this video up here, you'll be seeing me review a Danelectro Nichols 1966, and that was done through this. So the clean channel on this takes these pedals really, really well. This is my first outing with BluGuitar, and I've got to say, I'm really impressed with the tones. The high gain stuff is really where it shines. Incredible tones. It never gets messy. It's tight if you put the boost on, but also it's incredibly versatile. You can really get all the kind of spectrum that you want. I really like how each channel, each amp kind of picks up where the other one left off. So it just gradually brings you in higher tones, more gain, different voicings, but they're all coherent. They all work together. So you're not going, you know, completely from one end to the other and it doesn't make sense. It actually sounds and has a definite character to it that goes across all the different amp types. Finally, this is a lightweight, incredibly professional sounding product that you can take with you on the airplane, the bus, wherever you're going to a gig, and just simply plug it in and you know the sounds you're getting. And I think if I understand Thomas Blug's inspiration for these series of amps, I think that's it. It's to provide a professional, great sounding amplifier, which is complete with all the features you may want for both a studio musician, but also more importantly, a gigging musician. As with all my reviews, I also like to finish up talking about some of the things that maybe I thought were less good or were less convenient for me. Honestly, there's not that much here. I am really impressed with this. I can say maybe one of the most common things that came to mind was the fact that you have a shared 3-band EQ. But again, having the tone controls at the side, not a massive deal. For me, that's definitely not a big deal. But I can see how some people may want a different 3-band EQ per channel. That's one slight thing. The second point, which maybe some people may have an issue with, is the reverb. I personally really like this reverb. I think it sounds great, it's clean, it works well, but it's not the lushest reverb. It's not the most extreme reverb. So if you are more into the ambient, if you are more into the extreme use of reverb in your sound, this may not have enough oomph behind it. It may be a little too discreet. Finally, we've got to talk about the price. The Amp1 Iridium is about £800 currently, and some of you may think that's on the higher spectrum of things. I'm in between two minds. Yes, it's a lot of money, but at the same time, this is a real professional piece of kit. This is something that lasts a long time, it's well built, and I don't think that you can get any better with the sound quality. If you don't need the 3 million effects, the 3 million whatever things that amp modelers give you, this sounds way better and is actually, if you compare it like for like, kind of similar in price. So if having a professional and incredibly good sounding unit is what you want rather than other things, then I think this is actually the unit for you and it's priced right. Okay, final verdict time. Honestly, I'm blown away. BluGuitar really nailed it with this one. For me, I couldn't find any deal breakers. I really couldn't find any massive issues or things that I wished were different. This is a really inspiring amplifier, which is fun, it's professional, it does everything you need. And I think most importantly, it reflects the character of the maker, so Thomas Blug. You can tell that he put all his years of guitar playing, all his years of experience into this product to try to make the best product possible for guitarists. And the fact that it's super portable, super easy to use, very intuitive, for me is just mind-boggling. I will put, as always, all the details down below. I will link everything up. Really, really recommend this product. If you need any more information, as always, give me a shout. Let me know, have you guys tried these? What do you think? Are there any other features that you would like on these? Because honestly, I'm really satisfied, but I'm a very simple person and player. But I'd be interested to know if maybe you'd like something else. And go check out both Thomas's and BluGuitar's Instagram account and YouTube channels. They're really good, very informative. Thomas does some fantastic YouTube videos on how to use the amps, etc. So really good content. Please, if you can, subscribe, like, do all the business. Let's keep those robots happy. And I will leave you with my final words, which are, please keep playing guitar, rock out, enjoy yourself, enjoy the weather if it's nice wherever you are, and be nice to each other. Peace, people. See ya.